So you're a contractor interested in growing or building your construction company, and you hit the point where you're looking at a lot of people telling you how to do advertising and marketing and how you need to do a bunch of outreach to get where you want to be. And that can be true, but it doesn't have to be. And I'll tell you exactly how we did this and scaling our construction company specializing in concrete and waterproofing all the way to 2.5 and 3 million in annual revenue every single year with no marketing or advertising. So really good strategy. I'll go through exactly how we did it step by step. So we kind of start off with the two, I would say, landscapes of construction work. You have your residential and you have your commercial. And for those who don't know, residential is typically just like your neighbors, homeowners, anything that's kind of like personal property, living space, that type of thing. And with residential, there's a lot of marketing. It's tough. You got to have a lot of outreach because you need to have a lot more customers that are constantly new rather than turnover customers that you've had for the last 10 years, for example, that come back to you or ask you for more bids. It's a lot less common with residential. And so where things get a little bit different is with commercial and specifically new construction. And this even goes for residential builds, such as new homes. If you find yourself working with a general contractor that is a developer, for example. But moving into this space, commercial work is all of your industrial stuff or your restaurants or your apartment complexes, or like I said, the GC who's a builder. And getting into this zone, you don't have to actually market or advertise yourself at all. You just need to get yourself into the right places, into the right systems, and where bids will come at you as opportunities. And so you are bidding against more people, whereas residential, you might have 2, maybe 3 other subcontractors that are kind of getting a competitive bid along with you if the homeowner is like lucrative like that. But with this landscape, it's the difference of everything comes to you, but you will have more competition. And so it does take a little bit of a way, but as long as you're able to keep your costs down, keep your small overhead, and use that as the advantage in your bidding and you bid strong, I mean, you're going to win most of your, a lot of your, I'll say a lot. It is a numbers game after all, but you'll win a lot of your bids. And there's just more money in it anyway. So I recommend it personally. This is what we did in scaling 80% of our business completely off of commercial new construction. And I wouldn't do it in any other way. So how do we do this, right? Where do we go? So if you're interested in coming into the commercial and these new builds, we want to go to our bid opportunity websites. Okay, so there's like Build Trend, Building Connect, Construct Connect, and then you also have your state and government work as well. It kind of operates in the same way. And so with these, you'll be able to set yourself up and sign on saying, this is what I do. I paint or I frame, and you kind of, you accept the certain trades that you do yourself, and you'll receive opportunities for those specific trades. And I'll show you how to do this on the computer here.
So I'm on the computer now, and I'm just going to go over some of these opportunities. The ones that I have typically seen here, not to dox myself, but here in Utah. This is what I've seen most of the time, and then what typically lands on my plate. So Construct Connect, this website's pretty good. A lot of opportunities. Probably most of them have landed on my plate from this one alone. I'm not going to sign up with these, as they're all pretty much going to hold your hand and show you how to do everything step by step with putting in your business email, maybe a phone number. Don't worry about like signing up with them doing anything. Yeah, you don't need to. There's no reason for you to pay anything yet, unless if you really feel like you want to, but don't worry about buying into something like that. Follow their login system. It'll basically ask you for what company you are and then what trades that you perform. So just make sure to do the ones that are applicable to you. But just to show you, like here on Find Projects, just as an example, I mean, there's over there's like 1.5 million projects going on right now. Like that's a ton. So if I click on here on Utah, for example, we got 17,000 in the state alone, a ton, most around Salt Lake City, some down here in St. George, yada, yada, right? But you can go through these. You can even go through 75 miles from Utah, build use, if you want to just do casinos specifically, like maybe you provide slot machines, maybe that's good for you. But most of it's going to be through the trader scope here, or concrete, for example. That's something that I would click. And we do a lot of concrete. And then maybe if they provide waterproofing, yeah, they typically don't. It's typically in like a specialties, or like waterproofing is always thermal and moisture protection. Here we go. So I'd click on those, and then we'd view those projects, and then you'd be able to kind of go through and click on the projects. And like this is like $500,000. Not that your bid necessarily would be, unless if you're going to do everything for it. This would be like the engineer's estimate, for example. But you can go through all of this and just see what is near you, what you can do. Some concrete repairs on the freeway, some expansion joints. Like the engineer estimated that's $3 million worth of work. Like there's a lot of work here. And all you need to do is sit on the computer and go through and put in really good bids and just bid. Be a maniac. This is where you can really take the leg up and actually get your business off the ground. But it is important, of course, to only put out bids that you feel comfortable with. Like I'd stress that, it's fine to feel a little scared, and that's normal. But if you genuinely do not feel comfortable, don't put the bid out. It's not worth risking your entire company over a project. So Construction Connect is really good. I recommend it. Another one to mention would be Plan Hub. I've seen this one pop up on my computer quite a few times. So I would say it's worth looking into, worth going through. There's a few that I haven't mentioned that's pretty good, but U3P, that's our local portal for Utah. This is the state and government work. There's a lot more to the state and government work than just throwing down a bid. Most states do allow some sort of quote unquote smaller expense handyman style bids that they'll put out, and anyone with a business license can do and can bid on. And so you can kind of get your feet wet starting with some of those. But some of these are going to be a little bit bigger, more substantial, and you'll need to go into the office, call your state, get involved with their next meeting, and get signed up as a qualified contractor is going to be the thing that you need to go for. But there's a lot of opportunities here that you can really bid on, so this is kind of the place where we don't have to worry about putting out adverts and having people call us about their leaky faucet, but really put in some substantial bids. And these, as you sign up for these, they will go to your email, so you don't have to worry about that as far as maybe missing something. I still, though, would highly recommend hopping onto the website itself and going through every day if you can, but minimum weekly to see what's new and stay current, because they do go away. Like this funeral renovation right here. So the bid date is the 15th, right? So it started back in, oh, nice. Love that. But anyways, they'll have like a start. I'll show you here. This will probably show. They typically have like an open date. So this one opened on the 6th, and the questions are due on the 10th, which is today due to my recording, and they close on the 13th. So you sometimes you have just very closed windows of opportunity, and you need to capture that. So don't slack. I recommend doing every single day if you can, but no worries. If you can do weekly, you'll still get a ton out. Above that, the best way, besides hovering on these websites, is, as I mentioned earlier, go to the headquarters of your local general contractors, meet people that are building, and see where their opportunities are going. Ask them, introduce yourself as the estimator, and ask them how you can get set up with being on their bid list. You know, is it do you email them out? Blah blah blah. Can I get involved with you? I would love to start giving you another option for whatever you do, whatever your trade is, and they'd be happy to. They know that you went out of your way to introduce yourself. They're going to be super kind. Everyone's been so nice. So that's the number one. But anyways, I'm going to send myself back out to the outside, Jade. Appreciate it.
Sick. So now that we got ourselves set up with this, maybe like, 2 or 3 of these, so that we have plenty of opportunities coming into our lap, coming onto our emails, as well as checking them. It's just healthy to check them as well. But most of them will hit your emails. How do we bid it now? So at this point, we need software. We're going to have some sort of bidding software that'll allow us to take the downloaded plans for the project, and then we need to be able to do takeoffs. We got to annotate them. We need to do measurements. We got to understand what is needed in these space, and then we need to measure everything. So that's where we're going to do takeoffs. So this will require you to to read blueprints. This is kind of where where we put our big boy pants on, and we step up to the gauntlet. And you find what in the project is calling out specifically for your trade, and then you want to bid everything that is within your wheelhouse that you feel comfortable and capable of doing. So we download the software. I use Bluebeam. That's what I've used for the 10 plus years that I've been doing estimates. But there's others out there. I haven't looked much into them, but Bluebeam or the like will let you do the takeoffs, because you need to do the measurements. You need to be able to see the square footages, and calculate everything for how much material you're going to need, and then put together a good idea. Hey, sweet girl. Put together a good idea of how much labor you're going to use. And so once we do this, we compile ourselves together the best estimate that we feel comfortable with. We're probably going to want to be aggressive in the beginning, and I understand that totally. You want to get the job, but never bid a project that you have any uncertainty in low or aggressive, because there are always hidden factors, whether you have to use more material, or you overlooked something, or there's this extra area that is included in your contract that you didn't necessarily realize. A lot of this can get caught in the pre-construction process with the general contractor, especially if you're working back and forth with them. Like, we've been working with these guys for, gosh, the 20 years the company's been together. Oh gosh, not that long. The 15 years the company's been together. And so, we've had a really good repertoire, and so that gets worked out. But keep in touch with, you need to feel comfortable and confident that whatever price you're going to get, or whatever price you're giving, that you feel comfortable receiving. So you never want to, I would always rather not get the job than bid the job too low, because then you're shitting your pants the entire time, and that's a miserable experience. So bid it comfortably. And then where and how do we send out these proposals, or the proposal? So we're going to want to send it to all the general contractors that are bidding on this. Like, let's say we're looking at a new high rise that's a 15-story apartment complex, and you're doing all of the balconies on this. That's what we would do, a lot of the waterproofing. You want to send it out to all the general contractors, because it'll come from an owner, or usually a group at this size, right, that has a few owners. And then they send this out as a blast to say, hey, this is the project we want to do. And then a bunch of general contractors will want to start bidding up for this, right? So you might have like 5 general contractors trying to bid for this project. And then below that, you got dozens of subcontractors that are bidding for this. So that's kind of all your competition landscape. But you want to make sure you get it to all these general contractors. Because let's say Fred over here is the one that gets it, but you sent it to the other four, not Fred. Well, it doesn't matter. Fred never got your number, and he's the one that got it. So even though you could have been awarded, you didn't. So make sure it goes to everyone. And just a side note, kind of as a bonus, if they're in your valley, which they should be local, go to their headquarters. You know, find out who they are, find out where they are, and then go to their headquarters. Introduce yourself as the estimator. Even if you're like, you know, if you're a one-man show, or even like, you know, a single owner with one crew, and you don't feel confident or comfortable introducing yourself as the owner, introduce yourself as the estimator, and introduce yourself to the estimators. You know, just shake some hands, meet some people. That will land you so much business, because nobody does that. We're in this day and age where everything's so digital, and it is easier, you know, just to blast out emails. But shake a man's hand. You'll put yourself in their shoes, or you'll put yourself in their space, and more importantly, they'll recognize your face. Anytime a face goes to a name, it goes so far. So I would recommend that. If you're really trying to get a job, do that. Do that regardless. But even if you don't, make sure it goes to all the general contractors through the websites and the emails. Make sure you have the emails and it goes to the right person. You want to do both. It really puts yourself forward. Like, we're really trying to just do our best, and this is the best here. And so with doing this, just remember it's a numbers game. You know, it's no estimates ever going to be perfect. You just do what you feel comfortable with, which also feels competitive, and that's the best. That is a great number. Move forward, blast it out to everyone, move on to the next project. We want to get repetition. It's quantity. We just got to get a bunch out. So then that way, you know, let's say you send out 10 bids, only 2 or 3 might get approved. But those 2 or 3 could set you up for the whole year. So quantity, it's a numbers game. Don't get too attached. Just make sure you feel good about it. And then to end this with, this is the way. I mean, this is how bids come to you, rather than you having to chase leads, go out there, pay a ton in advertising, pay a ton in marketing. You don't have to do that doing this. All of the bid opportunities will come to you and land on your lap. Sure, you can go get some residential jobs. Like, we still did 20% of our work with residential, but it was just more on filling the gaps in the schedule. The bulk of our work were with universities, state and government, and commercial. A lot of new construction. And then some bigger projects that were like big renovations. But those are usually like with the university, and just they would call us because we had a working relationship. But doing this, it'll alleviate a lot of headache. And yeah, I mean, this is really what I would recommend, and exactly what we did that has proven to be absolutely successful. And also within that, if you don't know how to estimate, or you don't feel comfortable with your numbers, I've been doing this for over a decade and worked my way up to be the COO, which is the Chief Operating Officer of our company, and brought in 2.5 to 3 million revenue every single year. So I can help you with this. This is exactly what I do. And if you don't know how to go over like Bluebeam software blueprints and, you know, the plans and exactly what to read and how to diagnose, that's no problem at all. This is exactly what I do to help you guys become successful contractors. And so if you want, just reach out to me. This is exactly how I help you guys and bring you to the place that you want to be. But until then, there's descriptions down below, and I hope this helps. See ya.